At the hazy dawn of July 29, deep within the dense pine forests of Ukraine's Sumy Oblast, a secretive airbase buzzed with tension and resolve. The roar of jet engines shattered the morning calm, vibrating through the surrounding trees, signaling a daring mission. Two MiG-29 Fulcrum jets, icons of Ukraine's Air Force, stood ready to strike a Russian unmanned aerial vehicle UAV control center near Tyotkino village in Kursk Oblast's Glushkovsky district, roughly 9.3 miles from the Ukrainian border. At 4:30 a.m., as the first rays of dawn pierced the horizon, the two MiG-29s taxied slowly onto the runway at a covert Sumy airbase. The thunder of their Tumansky R-33D engines, each delivering 18,300 pounds of thrust, tore through the quiet night, rousing the forest. Capable of Mach 2.25, about 1,491 miles per hour, with a combat radius of 435 miles and a weapons payload of 8,818 pounds, the MiG-29s were optimized for the task. Coated in radar-absorbing paint, their radar cross-section, RCS, dropped to about 54 square feet from the front, boosting survivability against Russian air defenses. The lead pilot, callsign Falcon 1, tested encrypted communications on a secure frequency, ensuring contact with his wingman, Viper 2. Both were seasoned aviators with hundreds of combat hours in grueling conditions. "Stay tight, low altitude, prepare for takeoff," Falcon 1 ordered, his voice calm yet sharp through the headset. Ground crews, after hours of meticulous checks, confirmed all systems, from engines to the Zhuk-ME radar with a 75-mile scan range to the JDAM-ER navigation integration, were fully operational. A light rain had slicked the runway overnight, but the clear morning sky offered ideal conditions. The MiG-29s lifted off at 186 miles per hour, engines screaming as they cleared the runway and dropped to below 164 feet to evade Russian radars, including the S-300, 93-mile range, low-altitude detection, Buk M1, 22-mile range, high-speed target engagement, and Pantsir-S1, 12-mile range, low-flying target elimination, per Defense Express. The flight relied on inertial navigation systems, INS, paired with digital terrain maps, maintaining positioning accuracy within 33 feet after 30 minutes without GPS, countering Russian electronic jammers like the Krasuka 4, 186-mile range, 1 to 18 GHz band. Meanwhile, 12.4 miles south of Tyotkino, a Ukrainian Special Forces team launched a diversionary raid to distract Russian forces. Armed with 120mm mortars and PKM machine guns, they struck a Russian checkpoint near the border. The team fired 10 laser-guided Krasnopol mortar rounds, directed by a Zala 421-08 reconnaissance UAV, maximizing destruction and chaos. Explosions from the mortars kicked up thick smoke, while machine gun fire echoed relentlessly, sowing confusion and drawing Russian radar attention, as reported by Kyiv Post. The feint diverted Russian air defenses, particularly Pantsir-S1 systems scanning with X-band radar, 8 to 12 GHz. This created a safe window for the MiG-29s to approach undetected. The commandos also deployed 2 Javelin anti-tank missile launchers, destroying a Russian BTR-80 armored vehicle, amplifying disorder and pulling Russian defenses away from the target. Concurrently, a Leleka 100 UAV with a 62-mile range, 2-hour endurance, and high-resolution camera launched from a mobile base near the border. Flying at 9,842 feet, it used infrared and optical sensors to monitor the target, a 2-story building near Tyotkino, repurposed as a Russian UAV control hub. Equipped with AES-256 signal encryption, the Leleka 100 resisted Russian interception, auto-switching frequencies between 900 MHz and 2.4 GHz to dodge jamming. The building, 0.6 miles east of the village, was surrounded by tents housing control equipment and communication antennas, serving as the command center for UAVs like Orlan 10 and Lancet FPV, per Ukrinform. Live footage from the Leleka 100 streamed to Sumy's command center, where officers verified the target's position and checked for unexpected changes, like mobile air defenses. The UAV also spotted a KAMAZ 5350 military truck nearby, possibly carrying additional UAV gear, noted for strike planning. At 6.2 miles from the border, Falcon 1 received an encrypted signal from command. Russian radar is scanning, but you're undetected. Proceed to Phase 2. Both pilots climbed to 26,247 feet to maximize the JDAM-ER's range. This was risky, as the S-300's 76N6 radar could detect targets at 124 miles and up to 88,500 feet, per Defense Express. To avoid detection, the flight used altitude hopping, fluctuating between 24,600 and 27,887 feet every 30 seconds, disrupting radar lock. Ukrainian pilots, trained to exploit safe corridors, used Kursk's low hills, averaging 328 to 656 feet, and ground-based electronic jamming to mask their radar signature. Jamming systems on Kraz 6322 armored trucks, 22,046-pound payload, 53 miles per hour top speed, near the border emitted UHF and VHF interference, degrading Russian radars like Buk M1 and S-300. The Bukovel AD jammer, with 600-watt output, blinded Russian radars within a 9.3-mile radius, enabling the MiG-29s to operate undetected. At 26,247 feet, the air turned frigid, with cockpit external temperatures at -22 degrees Fahrenheit. Low air pressure pushed the MiG-29 engines to peak performance, with fuel consumption rising to 1.87 pounds per mile at 497 miles per hour. Falcon 1 rechecked the target coordinates, 51.4245 degrees N, 34.4932 degrees E, on the MiG-29's multifunction display, MFD. Upgraded with Western aid, the JDAM-ER navigation system allowed precise coordinate input, factoring in altitude, wind speed, and weather. The 1024 by 768 MFD showed real-time Leleka 100 imagery and a heat map, pinpointing antenna tents. The MFD displayed the bomb's projected trajectories, with estimated flight time 4 minutes 12 seconds and maximum deviation under 10 feet. Viper 2, 1,640 feet to the right, mirrored the setup, ensuring all 4 bombs targeted the same zone: 2 on the main building, 1 on the antenna tent, and 1 on the UAV storage area. Coordinates locked, ready to release, Viper 2 reported, his voice steady but tense. At 43.5 miles from the target, Falcon 1 ordered, "Release bombs."
Both pilots triggered the weapon release via HOTAS controls. 4 GBU-62 JDAM-ER bombs dropped from the MiG-29's wing racks, whistling softly as they fell. Their foldable wings snapped open with a mechanical click, transforming each into a gliding munition. Guided by GPS/INS, with chips receiving signals from 24 GPS satellites, the bombs began their 43.5-mile journey at 621 miles per hour, Mach 0.82. Set for enhanced penetration, they angled at 45 degrees to pierce the target's 12-inch reinforced concrete roof.
The INS, using gyroscopes and accelerometers, kept the bombs on course even if GPS was jammed, critical against Russian systems like the Krasuka-4, 500-kilowatt, 186-mile range. Programmed with precise coordinates from the MiG-29s, the bombs aimed to maximize damage to the UAV hub per Kyiv post. After release, Falcon 1 and Viper 2 dove to 328 feet, banking sharply at 60 degrees to head for Ukraine. This maneuver, rehearsed countless times in simulators, minimized the MiG-29's RCS, 54 to 108 square feet. Suddenly, the radar warning receiver, RWR, blared, signaling a Pantsir-S1 radar, X-band 8 to 12 GHz, 18.6 miles northeast. The RWR showed the radar's direction and strength, indicating search mode but no lock, thanks to jamming. Jam radar. Deploy flares, Falcon 1 commanded. He activated the SPO-15 Beryoza countermeasures, releasing APP-50 flare tubes that created 2,192 degrees F decoy clouds. Chaff canisters scattered metal strips, forming a radar-reflecting curtain. Viper 2 followed, deploying 12 flares and 8 chaff bundles. Ground-based Bukovel AD jammers on Kraz 6322 trucks continued UHF-VHF interference, disrupting Pantsir-S1 and Buk M1 radars. The Bukovel AD also jammed UAV control signals 400 MHz to 6 GHz, crippling Russian Orlan 10 operations. The MiG-29s skirted a low hill range west of Kursk, 492 feet average, flying at 590 mph, Mach 0.75, to conserve the 9,480-pound internal fuel for the 870-mile round trip. Falcon 1 saw rolling hills and fields through the canopy, while Viper 2 held 1,600 feet to the right. The terrain-following radar, 9.5 GHz Doppler, updated altitude and obstacle data, avoiding power lines, 49 feet, and telecom towers, 164 feet. Meanwhile, the JDAM-ER bombs cruised at 19,685 feet, with GPS/INS updating positions 10 times per second. 11-mile northwest wind was compensated to maintain trajectory. At 18.6 miles, the bombs descended to 13,123 feet for the mid-phase approach. Real-time error correction using MEMS gyroscopes, 0.01 degree per second sensitivity, kept deviation under 7 feet despite 22-mile gusts. At this stage, INS prioritized over GPS to counter potential jamming. At 6.2 miles, the bombs dropped to 6,562 feet, angling at 45 degrees for penetration, accelerating to 746 miles per hour, Mach 0.98. The target, A 2-story UAV control hub with a 12-inch concrete roof and steel-reinforced windows came into focus. Surrounded by 3 tents with high-frequency antennas, 2 to 6 GHz, workstations, and UAV storage, it commanded Orlan 10 and Lancet FPV drones, per Ukrinform. A 10-foot steel fence and 4 Cord 12.7M machine gun towers, 1.2-mile range, 600 rounds per minute, offered no defense against guided bombs. At 5:12 a.m., the first bomb struck the building's roof, missing the target center by under 7 feet. Its warhead detonated, unleashing a blast with a 66-foot shockwave, equivalent to 220 pounds of TNT. A 5,432 Fahrenheit fireball obliterated the upper floor, vaporizing the concrete roof and melting electronics, including 12 UAV workstations and 8 monitors. Concrete and steel fragments at 4,921 feet per second shredded the vicinity. After 1.5 seconds, the second bomb hit the building's midsection 16 feet away, collapsing the main structure. The 435 psi shockwave demolished load-bearing walls, reducing the building to a 10-foot rubble pile. A thick black smoke column laden with concrete dust and metal ash rose 164 feet, captured by the Leleka 100. The third bomb struck the antenna tent 49 feet away, destroying 3 high-frequency antennas and 2 signal generators, cutting communications for UAVs within 124 miles. The 218 psi shockwave snapped 16-foot antenna poles and fried circuits, halting Orlan 10 operations in Sumy. The fourth bomb hit the storage area 66 feet away, holding 3 Lancet and 2 Orlan 10 UAVs, plus 10 6.6-pound warheads. The primary blast triggered secondary explosions, creating a 98-foot fireball and 82-foot shockwave. UAV debris, including carbon wings and electric motors, scattered 164 feet, demolishing a nearby maintenance tent. A KAMAZ 5350 truck carrying spare gear was torn apart, amplifying damage to Russia's UAV infrastructure. The 4 blasts, spanning 3 seconds, razed a 538-square-foot area, with temperatures averaging 2,732 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 seconds. About 20 Russian UAV operators inside the building and tents perished, per Kiev Post. Equipment, including 15 workstations, 10 antennas, and 5 UAVs, was destroyed, severely disrupting Russia's UAV operations in Sumy. The Leleka 100, at 9,842 feet, recorded the strike with infrared and optical cameras, showing the flattened building, billowing smoke, and obliterated tents. Data streamed to Sumy, where officers cheered the confirmed hit. A small fire spread to nearby woods but posed no threat, as the target was distant from civilians. Meanwhile, Falcon 1 and Viper 2 raced toward Ukraine. At 5 miles from the border, the RWR screamed, indicating an S-300 64N6 radar lock at 62 miles. The RWR showed increasing signal strength from the east, signaling target tracking mode. Falcon 1 executed evasive maneuvers, banking at 70 degrees and diving to 164 feet, shrinking the MiG-29's RCS. He released 12 flares and 8 chaff bundles, creating a 1,600-foot decoy cloud. Viper 2, 984 feet behind, mirrored the maneuvers, avoiding collision. Ground Bukovel AD jammers disrupted the S-300's L-band 1 to 2 GHz radar. After 30 seconds, the radar signal faded, indicating a lost lock. During evasion, Falcon 1 detected a second radar, possibly a Tor M2 from the northeast, but it vanished due to terrain and jamming. At 3.1 miles from the border, the pilots accelerated to 590 miles per hour, skimming a wheat field at 98 feet. The terrain-following system flagged a high-voltage line 1,600 feet ahead, prompting Falcon 1's order, climb 33 feet. Both pulled up to 131 feet, clearing the obstacle. Viper 2 spotted village lights, signaling Ukrainian territory. After 10 minutes at low altitude, the MiG-29s descended to 66 feet, weaving through fields and forests to the base.
Landing safely at 5:45 a.m., the pilots were greeted with hugs and applause. "Mission accomplished," Falcon 1 reported, his voice blending relief and pride. Post-landing checks revealed a minor scratch on Viper 2's left wing, likely from a tree branch during low flight, but it didn't affect performance.
The strike demolished the Russian UAV hub, killing about 20 operators and destroying 5 UAVs, 15 workstations, and 10 antennas, per Kyiv Post. Integrating JDAM-ER with MiG-29s showcased Ukraine's adaptability, merging legacy platforms with modern guidance. Russia may bolster defenses with S-400 or Tor M2, but Lalega 100 imagery, cited by Ukrinform, confirmed severe damage. The airstrike disrupted Russian UAV operations in Sumy and sent a strategic message. Ukraine can execute precise strikes deep in Russian territory, weakening enemy reconnaissance and attack capabilities. Defense Express suggests Russia may deploy more S-400s or Geron 2 kamikaze drones, but the Tyotkino loss will hamper UAV coordination for 2 to 3 weeks. The strike marked a tactical advance, paving the way for future operations and reinforcing Ukraine's resolve in its fight for independence. The mission's success boosted Ukrainian morale, particularly among air and special forces, proving the value of joint operations in modern warfare. Ukraine may leverage this victory to target other Russian military infrastructure, while Russia will need to adapt its air defenses to counter similar threats.